Hello everyone, welcome my YouTube channel. The Russians withdraw military equipment from the Kornebevka airfield. Satellite images. The armed forces of the Russian Federation have removed the absolute majority of military equipment from the territory of the Kornebevka airfield. According to Earhart, nearly all vehicles have been removed. Instead, one can see numerous trenches and caponiers left after the Russians. It is not known whether significant forces of the Russian armed forces are present there. As previously reported, during the last weeks, according to the data of the Defense Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the Russians have been implementing an information operation designed to create the impression that they are preparing to withdraw from the right bank Kherson region. Instead, they bring additional units to the city of Kherson and prepare it for defense and street battles. Kornebevka as the airfield is located less than 10 kilometers from the center of Kherson. Kherson International Airport and the airfield of the 11th Army Aviation Brigade of the Ground Forces of the Ukrainian Armed Forces are located on the territory of Kornebevka. The Russian armed forces used the airfield to base army aviation. Ammunition depots for Russian units on the right bank of the Dnipro River were also organized here. Since March, the Ukrainian army has been systematically firing at Russian positions in Kornebevka. During one such strike, at least 5 helicopters were destroyed simultaneously. NATO-Russia act is dead. Poland seeks to station nuclear weapons. NATO forces speaking on the air of Polsat News. Jakub Kumik, head of the Polish President's International Bureau, said that with its aggression against Ukraine, Russia annulled the NATO-Russia Founding Act of 1997, and Warsaw is interested in participating in the NATO sharing program, the Polish presidential website reported. Kumik commented on the statement of the U.S. State Department that Washington does not plan to deploy nuclear weapons on the territory of any country that joined NATO after 1997. It is a pity that the year 1997 appeared in this statement, Kumik said, adding that the conviction that no additional permanent NATO forces should be deployed in Eastern Europe is based on the NATO-Russia Pact of 1997. We believe, and the president said at the NATO summit, that this act is dead. Russia simply annulled it by aggression against Ukraine, he said, adding that Poland is interested in the deployment of NATO forces in Poland in participating in the nuclear sharing program. Nuclear sharing is a NATO program that is part of the alliance's nuclear deterrence policy. It enables nuclear warheads to be made available to member states that do not have their own nuclear weapons. Since November 2009, as part of the nuclear sharing, American nuclear weapons are located in Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Turkey. Biden calls out Putin's claim Russia will not use nukes in Ukraine. President Joe Biden is questioning President Vladimir Putin's claims Russia will not use nuclear weapons in its war on Ukraine. If he has no intention, why does he keep talking about it? He said during a Thursday interview with NewsNation. Why does he talk about the ability to use a tactical nuclear weapon? He's been very dangerous in how he's approached this. He can end this all. Get out of Ukraine. Putin, in a speech Thursday, denied ever having any intentions of using nuclear weapons in Ukraine. We see no need for that, Putin said. There is no point in that, neither political nor military. We do not need a nuclear strike on Ukraine, there is no point. The network news said the Russian leader's comments came after weeks of threats from Moscow and fears of escalation in the war. In September, Putin had said if Russia's territorial integrity was threatened, we will certainly use all the means at our disposal to retaliate, and added, it's not a bluff. Those comments prompted CIA Director William Burns to say it is difficult to determine if Putin is bluffing about his threat to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. But Burns added the US has to take the warnings seriously. Well, we have to take very seriously his kind of threats given everything that's at stake, Burns said. And, the rhetoric that he and other senior Russian leaders have used is reckless and deeply irresponsible. Top Pentagon contractors to face further parts, labor shortages amid U.S. aid to Ukraine. Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman and Raytheon Technologies have been grappling with snarled supplies since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, something that is currently being worsened by widespread cost inflation, Sputnik reported. The factors are expected to slow down production rates, damage revenues and prompt outright losses within the defense contractors. Kathy Warden, chief executive of Northrop Grumman, which makes the B-2 stealth bomber among other weaponry, warned that in 2023, her company will go ahead with tackling current problems pertaining to supply chain delays. I don't expect them to get significantly better, she pointed out, adding that such delays had been in place over the past few years, which she said is longer than the company suggested. Raytheon CEO Greg Hayes for his part noted that of his company's 13,000 suppliers, about 400 are a problem for us. We're fully prepared that next year is going to be kind of a hand-to-mouth on the supply chain, he underlined. According to him, microelectronics and rocket motors remain Raytheon's scarcest parts, and the company, literally, doesn't see a recovery path in this regard until the first half of 2024. Lockheed Martin's chief operating officer Frank St. John in turn admitted that the company's lead times are now running at 2 to 3 times their pre-coronavirus pandemic duration. He added that Lockheed had to push back its timeline for sales growth to 2024 as it now expects revenue in 2023 to be roughly the same as this year. Parts and labor shortages also rode roughshod Boeing's defense business, with the company reporting $2.8 billion in losses in the third quarter. Boeing chief executive Dave Calhoun said that in a supply-constrained world, his company doesn't push the system too fast, adding, "We slow down when we have to and we try not to compound problems." The remarks come against the backdrop of the White House's current security assistance to Ukrainian authorities, an issue that has split Americans, according to a new opinion poll. The survey conducted by Convention of States Action, along with the Trafalgar Group, revealed that 40.3% of respondents call for sending Ukraine weapons and money, while 30.5% support Kiev being provided with weapons but no money. 24.9% more believe that Washington should send Kiev nothing at all. Additionally, 51.4% of those surveyed said that considering the commitment to Ukraine, NATO and other European countries are not doing their fair share. Commenting on the results of the poll, Mark Meckler, president of the Convention of States Action, said that Americans want to continue to help Ukraine defeat Russian President Vladimir Putin, but when you look at the numbers, less than half of voters think that U.S. assistance should include sending more money to Ukraine. Voters believe the U.S. is shouldering the burden of supporting Ukraine and seem to be questioning why we are sending billions overseas while our own economy slides deeper into recession. Our nation would benefit from hearing President Joe Biden provide a clearly defined mission and role in the U.S. support to Ukraine, and reassurances that this will not just become a never-ending conflict that drains American resources and skyrockets our nation's debt, Meckler added. The remarks came after ex-Pentagon official Wesley Hallman said in an interview with Sputnik that the Pentagon's drive to supply arms to Kiev is fraught with consequences for the American defense industry. Good day to everyone.